Hi, good evening, and welcome to a Barmy Army podcast number 54. Tonight I'm joined by Fiona and Shane. How are you both?
Yep,
Very good, very good.
Shane, 2 weeks on the bounce. You're going to have some time off
No.
after this one.
If I come on next week, does Ian have to pay Jake 20 quid?
Probably, yeah, I think we probably would. Evening, Debs. Tonight we're going to talk about the game on Saturday, what everyone is calling the historic game on Saturday against West Ham. We'll look forward to the Brighton game as well. But we're going to start with after last week. Shane, you were on last week. You were talking about the TV deal and how good it was for the game. But after we went off, Casey did her pre-match conference, and she was, I'm going to use the word scathing about what had happened. So, Shane, let's start at the very beginning. You know more about this than most of us. So, MUTV can only show 3 league games a season, correct?
Yes.
And we've shown our 3 league games in Villa. Now, this is going to test everyone. Villa, Arsenal, and
Bristol.
But you can show as many cup games as you want, correct?
Believe so, yeah.
Right. So Casey, in her pre-match conference, used the words short-sighted, missed opportunity. And I'm going to quote Casey now completely. The FA have been badgering about playing at Old Trafford, and now all of a sudden we can't show it. Evening, John Neville, and John Neville just backs us all up and he says, Bristol. Shane, let's start with Fiona. Fiona, when you heard Casey say those comments, what were your thoughts?
I kind of agree with her because if they want to have games at big venues and obviously fans can't attend, it's a shame to just have it on the FA player, usually with just the one camera and that kind of thing. But also, it is a bit the club's fault because you chose your 3 games. You knew before you picked the last MUTV game that our game against West Ham wasn't going to be a TV pick because they'd been picked in advance. So it's a bit of everyone's fault that now the FA could bring in a rule where it's like it's 3 games unless you're at the men's stadium or the equivalent, but then that would be Reading could get away with that rule because they play at the men's stadium. But maybe they change the rule to say if it's at the men's international break and you're doing your big women's football weekends, which they've done now, maybe you change the rules for that. I don't know. There needs to be a bit more flexibility. I mean.
Yeah. Evening, John Fry. Evening, Ref. Shane, you are one of the people, like myself, who tolerate the FA player. I think that's the nicest way of saying it.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah, it's a means to the end. It's the way to watch the game. What did you make of Casey's comments?
To be honest, I agreed with them. And when she said we're short-sighted, or she used the word we, and I think a lot of people took that to mean the game as a whole, or the FA, or we as in TV broadcasters. I wouldn't be half surprised if she actually included herself and the club in that. I don't know how much say she has over what games get picked for MUTV, but we've spoke about this countless times now that we picked the game against Villa to show on MUTV, potentially knowing that we could have this game against West Ham or a game at some point at Old Trafford. So why would you waste your final game that you're allowed to show on that Villa game when you've got the big, the spectacle game at Old Trafford coming up? In terms of the FA's rule on it, I think, never mind being flexible, I think you just need to get rid of that rule altogether, because at the end of the day, even if we show a game on MUTV, it still gets put on the FA player. And this time round, we actually did the production for it, so it wasn't FA player, cameras, equipment, whatever. It was an MUTV stream, just with the FA players commentary team on there. So I don't see why this 3-game rule on a club in-house channel exists, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I agree. I'll come back to that. Deb said the club picked the games without knowing the game would be at OT. It was a very, very late decision. Evening, Jake. Blimey, Jake, you're not watching the internationals yet. And evening, Nat. John says it's a learning curve for everyone. We're not living in a normal world because we would have been at the game on Saturday. So surely the FA should have said, you know what, get it on a mainstream channel because this is a game that next season will have fans in it. It will get the viewing up. But then on Saturday morning, we all kind of woke up to the news that it was now being shown on BT Sport 1 Extra. Shane, do you think any of Casey's comments kind of hit home-ish with that?
Possibly. I mean, someone clearly took note of it for them to make a decision that late in the day. That again, they probably just used the MUTV stream for it because if they're making a decision that late in the day, I doubt that they've been able to get all their people there, camera crew and equipment up there to do it that way. But which is probably why it wasn't on BT's main sports channels, but. But whatever Casey said certainly must have kicked someone into gear on it because I think if she hadn't have done, no one probably would have. The fact she made a big deal about it has probably meant someone's gone, okay, let's try and show it. Otherwise, they'd have just left it, I think.
Yeah. Fiona, just finally on this point, with the game being shown live, with the game being shown switched at the last minute onto BT Sport Extra, and obviously it was still on the FA player, do you think the FA missed a massive opportunity there in the sense of, getting it out there for the world to see?
Yeah, the match itself wasn't a particularly big game against West Ham, but this is the first women's game for United at Old Trafford. If they put it on MUTV, what would the United fans be watching? Most of them don't like the international break, so it gives them an opportunity to see the women. Maybe bring some fans across, or if you have it on BT Sport or BBC picked it up or whatever, you'll have people turning in because it's Old Trafford, and everybody wants to just watch football at the moment. So yeah, they missed a massive opportunity in my eyes.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I think they did as well. Right, so let's get on to the game because it kicked off at an ungodly hour of 11:30. Shane had barely been awake by the time it kicked off. The team news came out. There was a few surprises in there. Fiona, what did you think of the team news when you heard it?
There's a few surprises. The surprise that Maria started, although I was happy that she started. I had wanted her to start, but I was expecting her more at a centre-back position rather than a right-back. Jackie you knew she was going to start because she's going to have an absolute field day on an Old Trafford pitch. And I don't think Casey could make too many other changes based on injuries and such. So it was a strong enough side to beat West Ham. It was a good enough side. There was a lot of attacking strength, even though we haven't got much at the moment. LJ and Kristen are going to love playing at Old Trafford on not such a good quality pitch with lots of space for them, with Jackie providing the ball to them, that kind of thing. So I don't think I was surprised. The only thing, again, Hayley Ladd not starting. Now, we don't need Hayley Ladd against the likes of that West Ham, but you'd like her in there to provide a bit of stability to your defence and that kind of thing.
And that's a brilliant segue because that's my next point. I'm just going to go through some of the comments in here. You'll be all happy to know Jake's told me there's a good 40 minutes until the internationals kick off. John Fry asked, why was the City game on the BBC red button instead of United's first game at Old Trafford? It was scandalous. We all agree, John. We don't understand it. Evening Sang, good semi-final smug chart. Yeah, Evening Sang, hope you're good. Deborah says 11:30 wasn't as bad for us as it was for the American viewers, and as that happens, afternoon, Karen. Hope you're okay. Where are we? We'll take that one off. Jake says he's not a fan of the kickoff time. Let's hope we don't see that so much next season. First away game of next season, 11:30, Brighton. Shane, agree?
Why the hell not?
Why not? Ian has to over. If Shane was barely awake, God knows what I was like. Hayley Ladd not starting was a major surprise for me, says Sang. Karen says nobody can understand why Ladd isn't starting. John says, to be honest, was good to see Maria, but still prefer to play at centre back. I agree with that. Shane, Hayley Ladd not starting. That's 2 games on the bounce now. She's not started. Some of us presume she's carrying a little niggle. She can't do 90 minutes. Just before we carry on, Shane, do you want to answer him, or should I, with some expletives privately?
We'll keep it in reserve for Sunday.
Yeah. I hope John Moss is watching, by the way. Shane, Hayley Ladd.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it as well with the surprise boils down to Katie's form. I mean, I'm not here to say whether she's been playing good or bad or in the middle, but you know, there are people who don't think Katie's been in form or who has been as effective as what Hayley Ladd can be in games. So there's definitely been calls for Hayley to be starting, particularly when you consider at the start of the season as well. She was one of the first on the team sheet, and you know that midfield 3 almost picked itself at times. So yeah, you have to assume that she's carrying a form of knock, but then you know how bad is the knock that she can still come on and play 20, 25 minutes towards the end of a game anyway. Yeah, I'm struggling with it. She has an effect on games, and we can say we don't need her against the teams like of West Ham, but we said that about Birmingham at the start of the season, and she had to come on at half time and shore up the defence. So there's a case to be made that we do need Hayley Ladd, and we need her a lot.
Fiona, you are a massive fan of Hayley Ladd. There's no you, but you're also critical of when we think you should play her, when we shouldn't play her. Are you surprised, considering the form we're in? You know, we're not in the form we were at the beginning of the season. And when we had Hayley in that starting 11 up until Christmas, we were. I'm going to use the words brilliant. We were brilliant, and now that Hayley's not in the team, are we starting to struggle without her? Is she that linchpin we need?
I think so, because she helps the players out around her so that the defenders don't necessarily panic because they've got Hayley in front and, protects them very well. But also going forward, you don't need to, Jackie doesn't necessarily need to worry, I can't go too far forward because I've got Hayley behind me doing the defensive work. But this season, she has been going forward more. She's I think she might be our top assist and that kind of thing. So I don't know, is Casey trying something different out? But you don't drop Hayley for that kind of thing, particularly if we're not, you don't drop her against likes of Arsenal. And if we're in a bad spell, we need those players to come in, show up the defence, get a bit of confidence again, and go from there. The only thing I can think is, she's either got a knock or maybe Casey just thought, again, we just don't need her. And if we're going to, I don't know, play from the back, maybe she thinks Katie does a better job of that. Katie had an okay first half passing the ball around between the defenders and that kind of thing. But I don't know. There must be something going on behind the scenes, is what I think.
Yeah, I'm just going on to some of the comments now. Ian says, Hayley is surprising, but I always feel better with her playing at defensive central midfield. Sang says maybe she has fatigue or a slight knock. John says Hayley must have a slight injury that has to be managed till the end of the season. Ian, I honestly don't know if Casey knows what her best midfield are. I know Tobin will be in there, probably Jackie, but the other spot. And Sang then says, all joking aside, when was the last time Hayley had a stinker of a game for us? Answers on a postcard for that one, please. And
Reading, I'd say, but she weren't the only one.
Yeah, each game is a cup final. This is from Karen. Each game is a cup final. No time to be dropping Hayley unless she has a knock. Let's be honest. West Ham didn't come on Saturday to Old Trafford to win the game. When you saw them line up, they played four at the back and 5 in midfield and a lone striker. They were just coming to try and take a point from us. But the first half, in my opinion, and we were all watching it together, the first half, there wasn't really a lot in it from either team. I actually thought both teams were pretty poor. Shane, what were your thoughts on the first half?
I think you described it perfectly there. I think with the word poor, particularly, well, I'll say particularly, we didn't look to have any sort of cohesion, across the front three and arguably with the middle three as well. No one seemed to either know where they needed to be, or there was too much chopping and changing. I mean, I know sometimes you get your attackers will interchange with each other, but they always ultimately go back to the spot that they're going to be playing in or where they've been put. But it's like Lauren started on the left and Tooney started on the right, but then at some point they swapped over. Then Jackie ended up on the wing. Then Jackie was in the middle, or Jackie was on the left. Lauren ended up in the middle. Kristen was out wide. So we didn't look stable, I'd probably say is the way to describe it. Second half, obviously, something changed. There was a hairdryer somewhere in the ground at half time, and thankfully that seemed to do the trick for the second half.
Yeah, Fiona, when the team news comes out, you look at it tactically. You go, well, this player starting on this side and that. When you saw Jackie starting out wide, because when United released the lineup, that's how you reckon the team are going to line up. When you saw Jackie starting on the right, were you surprised?
I know she's done it in the past, but that isn't her best position. And she has been one of our best players this season. So you want to play her in the position where she's strongest and you can get the most out of her, particularly at Old Trafford, which is I think Ian has said in the past, it's longer and wider than the pitch we normally play at. So it gives her a bit more freedom. Like, again, Tooney doesn't suit play on the right. She can do it. So it's kind of one of those things where we haven't played people in their best position, but we should still be doing that for Jackie because she's a game changer, and we saw that on Saturday. And in the run of form we're in at the moment, we kind of need her in her best position so that we can get the best out of her and change our form around and get back to winning ways.
Agreed. Sang says the final pass for both teams in the first half was, well, not good, let's say. John Fry then says we look scared and worried in the first half to think we might concede. Jake then says the pitch certainly looked massive. Both teams adapted to it eventually. And this is a question that we have asked. How much bigger is it than LSV? Ian, if you're watching, can you answer that one for Jake? Because I can't remember. The pitch is, Shane, we've been to Old Trafford. We've watched men's games there. The pitch is massive. It is a lot bigger than LSV. Well, we say a lot bigger. It looks a lot bigger. Do you think it suited our game much more, that pitch at Old Trafford, rather than the confined spaces maybe we have at LSV?
What I'd probably say about it is it should have suited us more. But with how we were playing in the first half, we didn't really take advantage of it or make it work to our benefit. Second half, we absolutely did. As Fiona said, Jackie had an absolute field day second half. She was class and arguably one of her best performances for us. She was zipping all over the place. Even LJ, that kind of pitch is where you'd look for the likes of Jackie and LJ to thrive from. I don't think we used it to our benefit in the first half. I think there's reasons for it. Casey was saying that was like the dress rehearsal for when fans can actually go and watch a game there for the women. And do you know what? I know some people were aggrieved that it being played there because fans couldn't go, but I actually agreed with Casey's logic behind it. And I think I said it last week as well. The players, they know Old Trafford now. They've been there. They don't have to have the whole, we're playing at Old Trafford, for the first time. The next time they do it, they can just worry about, yes, we've got fans in. So, I think that there was a mixture of things, as to why the first half was what it was. But, we got used to it, we're accustomed to it, and we made it count in the end.
Yeah, John Fry says, to me, Jackie is a number 8 box-to-box midfielder. And here it is. Old Trafford is 115 yards long, 74 wide. So he's probably going to do the LSV stats. Fiona, you picked up on it at the beginning of the game. When the teams came out, Millie turned to the stressy end and applauded the fans, which, as a fan, I love that. And you picked up on it. And Shane said it's a dress rehearsal for the next game. Are you confident that we can go to Old Trafford next time? And I'm not going to say fill it out because I think that might go a stretch too far, but there can be a good crowd in there.
Yeah, I think so. Because obviously there's a lot of people that are interested in United and would like to go to Old Trafford to see United play. Maybe LSV isn't the easiest for you to get to, or it clashes with the men playing, and that's why you don't come to a women's game. But if it's at Old Trafford, you might be more tempted. I think the one concern for me, and I think it's been mentioned a number of times by different fans, is will you get a lot of people going to Old Trafford to watch the United women play because it's a cheap way of going to see Old Trafford, and therefore you're not. Well, you'll watch the game, but it's not the main reason you're there for. We'll be there. We'll be singing the Barmy Army songs that we have, cheering all the players on. It'll be a good way to get people interested in the women's team, but it's about making sure that interest is meaningful. They'll want to then come to games at LSV, even if it's just occasionally. They don't have to come to every game, that kind of thing. And we'd get a decent crowd at Old Trafford, but would we get a decent crowd that are there cheering and supporting the girls like they deserve, I suppose.
Yeah. John Fry says 50,000. I think that's probably quite doable. It's something that we never really do on the podcast. I'm going to talk about a few of the players individually because I think they deserve some praise. Shane, Maria, we've only seen glimpses of her, but what did you make of her overall performance? Because she was nominated for a player of the match on Saturday. So what do you make of her overall?
I like what I see of her, or what we have seen of her. Albeit it's been in a way a bit part role. She is a centre back. We know she's centre back, but she's been put a right back. So we're not. I don't think we're going to see the best of her until we see her playing a centre back role. But when she has played on the handful of occasions, she's very rarely put a foot wrong. She seems quite assured in what she does, and she looks comfortable on the pitch. She doesn't seem to panic or look nervous. It's one of those, because she hasn't played that much, you can't make that much of a full judgment, and because she's not playing in what I think most would describe as her natural position, being centre back. You know, you're not seeing her tested in the way that she would. You know, right back's a completely different role to centre back. Amy Turner knows that very well because she's done both over the last 2 seasons. So, you know, they're two completely different prospects. But yeah, it would be nice to see her either get some time at centre back this season or at least next season. You know, should she be starting there? Because we haven't brought her to just sit on the bench or be a backup fullback. Can't be.
Yeah, I agree. Sang goes back to the previous point that we were talking about having games at Old Trafford, and he says, how about limiting tickets to, well, I presume that's being 10,000, and say United Chelsea or United City, that way the true fans of both teams will show up. But then Jake goes on to say, when we do have a game with fans at Old Trafford, then I'd love to see an improvement at LSV the week after, really go against the usual trend. John Fry says Maria was great on Saturday next to Amy. Maria and Karen says Maria was solid and a great assist for LJ's goal, which we'll get into. And John Fry says, think they should be given a chance as a centre-back partnership. Fiona, Millie, do you think we saw Millie back to her best on Saturday?
I don't know if there was. It's difficult to say she was back to best because the opponents didn't give her that much to do, so that to see the best out of her. I think we saw a more calm and relaxed performance from Millie, which is good to see sometimes. This season, it looks like she's been a bit more, not necessarily panicky, but feeling a bit more rushed, maybe. You know, there wasn't any silly mistakes. The passing was solid. So I think it was a good overall performance. I wouldn't say it's one of her best because last season she was a great centre back, and I don't know, this it's one of those things that's got quite a high comparison. And I just don't think West Ham pushed her that much. Maybe against a better opponent, if she can carry on playing like that in the rest of our games, you know, maybe against like Everton, where it probably is a bit more of a challenge because they'll offer a bit more going forward. But yeah.
For those of you who are keeping notes, Ian's now told us the LSV is 109 yards by 66. The pitch is longer for rugby league, but that is the football pitch. Jake then says, I'm a big fan of Maria, was buzzing when we signed her, but we've not used her strengths. Give her a run at centre-back. I think that's kind of what everyone's saying. Deborah says, there was a great header off the line early from Mill. Shane, Mill, she's had a lot of people saying she's not had a great season. Do you think we saw Millie back to probably what we expect to see from her, or is Millie just being where she's all along?
I don't think we can say she's back to her best until you see it consistently. So Saturday was certainly the right way to go about it. I do agree in the sense that, you know, the challenge West Ham put up, I don't think is necessarily the right barometer to measure whether Millie had an absolute stormer or not, because in the grand scheme of things, she's going to be relatively untroubled. But she did deal well with what she had to deal with. As Deb just said, you know, header off the line early doors. I mean, catastrophe if West Ham are coming to Old Trafford and scoring the first women's goal there. I mean, you know, devastating if that happened. So, you know, thankfully Millie was alert enough and, you know, knew her surroundings with what was going on in the game to, you know, to clear the ball away. The key, I think, for Millie will be, you know, we've got 4 games left in the league. Do it over these next 4 games. Make sure we put ourselves in the best possible position to hopefully, you know, sneak into third and get Champions League.
Yeah, completely agree. Deb says there's a reason West Ham are bottom, never going to threaten us massively. Imagine the damage Alicia Lehman could have done. Oh God, AJ, she can do anyway. I'll leave that there. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I think it's fair to say that the first half was poor from both sides. I think we've all said that. I think even Casey said that. To go in, Shane has said he probably thinks there was a hairdryer lying around somewhere and it might have been thrown or whatever. Second half starts, and straight away we can see there's a small tactical change. Tooney's gone to the right, Jackie's gone out into the middle. Right, we've got about half an hour left. Are we just going to talk about Jackie now for the last half hour? Because she was immense in the second half. I don't think there's another word to say it. She was... Shane,
Jake's trying to join the call.
Yeah, well, let me see what he can do. Go on, Jake. You got to go soon because England are playing. Shane, how impressed were you with Jackie in the second half?
Very. I mean, that was Jackie all over. You know, I always go back to the assist for Kristen's goal. I mean, it looks simple. It looks like it's at the end of the day, it's just a pass. But the build up to it, where she ran with the ball, she took 2-3 defenders over to that side with her, opened up the space. We were all begging her to shoot because, let's face it, we've waited long enough for a Jackie goal now. I'm not having a penalty shootout goal. It was against City, so that was nice. But we need a goal off her. So we all thought she's going to hit this now. She's going to swing it top corner. She fooled us. So God knows how the West Ham defence must have felt when she just slipped that pass through to Kristen. But that was, that's what Jackie can do. She put her on a pitch like Old Trafford. If she does that all the time, my God, we need to keep hold of her.
Yeah. Before I come to Fiona, who will take us through the rest of her Jackie loving, Deb says, Jackie, you've missed an eye out, Deb. Jackie's second half was the performance we knew she was capable of and why we got frustrated last season. Fiona, we can say how we all know how good Jackie is. We all know that. We all know she's a United fan. So was it a combination of the tactical change and where she was playing? Or was it just this is what she can do on this stage?
I think it's just what she can do. Because we have seen it from her this season. She has had some great performances. We've nominated her or we voted for her being player of the match a number of times. But you've also got to remember she's a United fan. And so every United fan's dream is to play at Old Trafford. Well, as a striker, you'd want to score. Jackie, she would love to get an assist at Old Trafford. So, it's kind of meant to be. There's also that element, and I think it was Kristen that actually said this, but playing at some of the great European stadiums is not something you get to do a lot in the women's game. And Old Trafford is one of those stadiums, and so you want to embrace it, you want to play well, you want to show you what you can do, you want to show you the best that you can do. And so changing the tactics to get that out of her, and just she's got that mentality, hasn't she, to just turn it up a notch, take it to another level kind of performance, and that's just what she did in the second half, and it was great to watch.
Yeah, Deb says it would be a crime if Jackie's goal happened when we're not at games, and some people have to wait for it on delay. I'd have to walk out of the room personally.
One good thing would be recording. We can replay everybody's reactions.
You see, that's the only upside to it. Karen says Jackie was immense. The ball to Kristen impressed Tobin, who was shouting from the stands. Actually, we'll come back to that point. And then the second goal was world-class. Was two world-class players linking up. That's the levels from Deb's. Karen says Jackie's pass to Kristen was top notch. Press's goal was top notch. If they can keep that up, we would be unstoppable. And Ian says that pass from Jackie to Kristen was a thing of beauty. I never heard it during the game, but Tobin, when Jackie passed the ball through, went, what a ball. I mean, it was Shane. I mean, we've all seen Bruno Fernandes play balls through. It was so, it was so intricate. It was, I think Ian says, it was a thing of beauty.
It was perfect. The weight on the pass, just where she put it in the box for Kristen. I mean, Kristen, we watched it back on Sunday, didn't we? And Kristen starts her run almost diagonally and then straightens up, but she didn't have to break stride. The kick of the ball for the shot was her next step. So the weight on the pass from it was perfect from Jackie, positionally brilliant. You can't underestimate what she did in the build-up to get herself into that position. So, we will all rant and rave about the pass, and it deserves to be ranted and raved about. But also, when she got the ball and just where she carried it from and to put herself into that position, open the space up, I think Lucy Stan made an off-the-ball run as well. So, that helped. She took a defender with her off to the wide right, and I think LJ was ready to run through as well. So if there was a rebound, it might have fell to LJ. She might have got a second goal, but the move itself was that good. We didn't need a rebound because the pass was perfect, and Kristen stuck it in the back of the net.
Absolutely. Fiona, there's been a common theme throughout these 54 weeks of podcasts we've done. We've talked about Jackie constantly, Tobin, Kristen. And for some reason, we've always forgot about the one player in LJ. But we can't really not talk about her now because she's made an impact. On Saturday, she started out on the left, and we said it against the Arsenal game when we played Arsenal. If Leah was fit, obviously that would never have happened. What do you think about LJ's performances over the last couple of weeks?
Particularly against West Ham, I think she's stepped up and taken it to another level. There have been times in the past, and I still think it happened a little bit against West Ham, where we get a bit frustrated with LJ. LJ, pass the ball, or Leah's free, or Jackie's free, or whatever. And I think she has reason to be selfish. She can run out the defence and they're scared to get close to her. She can score a brilliant goal from outside the box, inside the box. But I think seems to be a bit more of an all-round great player at the moment. And I think that's something that Casey said as well. She seems to, I don't know, play with a bit of freedom as well. She doesn't need to be, if she's not the striker, she doesn't have to stay in that position. I think Kristen is good at staying in the middle when she needs to be getting in the right position, and so that lets LJ, have a bit more freedom to go where she wants, where she can get the ball. She played some great balls in to other players on Saturday. She had a few other chances where, like 30 centimetres and it would have been on the right side of the post, that kind of thing. So I think she had a good performance, and I think it was a good enough performance to say she needs to be starting the next game. She needs to be starting against Brighton. There's been times this season where that hasn't happened. When we've had plenty of players fit, you could say, yeah, we need to rotate because that player wasn't informed. But I think LJ has, not necessarily a first name on the team sheet. I'd probably go with Jackie, but LJ would be up there at the moment. And I think that would still be the case if we had a few of the injured players back, because it was a very good performance from LJ. Very mature performance as well, I'd say.
And during the watch along, Shane, you were straight there with your stats on Saturday. So go on, you can have what was it?
What stat?
About LJ.
Oh, that one. Yeah. So the first goal stats. So she scored the first goal in the Championship, first goal WSL, first FA Cup goal, and now the first goal at Old Trafford.
Was it a
She's born to
surprise?
be first.
Was it any surprise to you that LJ scored the first goal?
Not if you go on trends. if there's a first goal that needs scoring in something, then get LJ on. If we can get into Champions League, let's stick a fiver on LJ scoring our first Champions League goal.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Sang says, may I be brutally honest? Of course you can. LJ has great skill, but she needs to move the ball a lot faster. Deborah said, we often said LJ needs to pass more, but she's undoubtedly talented and can do it all. She's frustrating, but an immense talent. Shane loves stats. That's from Debs. Karen says, LJ reminds me of a young Tobin. Tobin used to hold the ball a lot longer like LJ, but she's learned and she's played more and got older. LJ is young and can only get better. Sang says, her talent is top tier, but she must level up and improve her game. You guys have massive ambitions, and LJ needs to grow to match them. And John says the header was the surprise. Shane, the goal from LJ.
Yeah, a little bit of a weird one in some ways, but I guess it's a case of being in the right place at the right time. I think Millie got to the ball initially from the corner and it's gone up in the air, gone where it's gone, and then the assist from Maria, if you like, she's put it right where it needed to go. I think there probably could be an argument to say if LJ didn't get to it, that it might have gone in anyway, but she was where she was and she put her head on it and put it in the net. If you're any kind of attacking player, you make sure there's no room for sentiment when you're a striker or an attacker. It doesn't matter if it's going to be someone else's first goal or sometimes people say, oh, it doesn't matter who scores as long as we score. But if you're a striker and you're on that line, you make sure the ball goes in the net. Worry about the paperwork afterwards about who gets given the goal, but you make sure that ball goes in the net. So, do you know what? Goal's a goal. And yeah, she doesn't score that many headers, but she did this time. So, all credit to her. And, we walked away happy.
Yeah. Deborah says, can we give Maria credit for the goal? Not sure if it was going in directly or not, but she put the ball back into the danger. Exactly like what you said. Let them sort it out afterwards. Sang says, I actually think it's a great goal Maria put into a dangerous area, but someone has to gamble and be there. And then stick in the back of the net. Yeah, I agree with that. Karen says, I thought the ball would have gone in off Maria even before LJ touched it. And as you said, Shane, it doesn't matter who scores so long as one day it's Jackie. Yeah. Now, I thought we were really good in the second half. I think it was probably our most complete second half performance. Can I say probably? But there was one moment where I think most of us got off our chairs for, and it was Lucy Stan when she was sent through, and she Fiona's there shaking her head. The ball to get Lucy Stan through was brilliant. Fiona, do you want to discuss the rest of it?
She must have, I can't remember exactly, but it looked like she fluffed a shot or slipped or something along those lines. That just at the moment, as she was going to shoot, because that was a great opportunity to get a goal. And I think we're all questioning, how did that not go in the net? You would have said 9 times out of 10 that would end up in the net. Or you at least make the keeper make a good save or something like that, So then, yeah, it is what it is.
I mean, I don't know whether Jake's still here or not. I hope he is, because we would have gone mental for that goal. Can you imagine how Jake would have reacted to seeing that go in? It would have been a thing of beauty. But the other point about that, the reason I'm talking about that is because it was another through ball from Jackie. and she had that influence in the second half. And Karen says Lucy's probably still having nightmares about it. So yeah, I think all in all, we all agree that we fully deserve the 3 points. But I thought the best part came in Casey's post-match thought when she did it. She said, I'm happy we kept a clean sheet, but I thought we were trying to give them a goal at some points. We've learned how to defend corners, but she apologised for the first half performance. She said it just wasn't good enough, and we've talked about that. Do you like that honesty that came out from Casey at the end of the game, Shane?
Yeah, Casey's always been honest, sometimes quite brutally. You know, if she doesn't like what she sees, or she didn't like what she saw, she's not afraid to come out and say it, and she's also not afraid to come out and take responsibility for it either. If it's been down to something she's told the team to do. I think the best example I can give of that is the derby in the league against City earlier in the season at home, where she came out after the game as the first half. I got it completely wrong tactically. That was on me. But she recognised it, she changed it, and we had a much better second half that day. So, she's never said that she's immune to criticism. I think she's one of these people that she'll criticise herself as well, which is probably why she's so passionate about what she does, about the team, the game as a whole. So she's automatically got incredibly high standards. So when you're not performing to those standards, be it through the tactics she'd ask the team to play, or whether it's just the team implementing the tactics, she's never going to be afraid to come out and say so. If it was a perfect performance, she'd say it was a perfect performance. I think back to when we played Villa opening championship game, and she says the start weren't good, middle was all right, and the end was rubbish as well. We just won 12-0 that day, and she said 2/3 of the game were rubbish. So it tells you a lot about her as a manager, coach, person, in terms of where her standards are.
Agreed. John Fry says, think Lucy was slightly nudged just before she was about to shoot, and it put her off balance slightly. Karen says, I think part of the first half problem was they were still in awe at playing at Old Trafford. Well, it's out, as you said before, Shane, that's now out of their system. They haven't got that excuse next time now. Right. Let's look ahead to the game on Sunday. I think I would be, before John Fry, it is, I know you're going to say it, so don't let me down, biggest game of the season. But it's, for me, the game I'm dreading the most. And I know you're not looking forward to it either, Shane. Would it be fair to say this is the one that none of us really want to talk about because it is a potential banana skin? Fiona?
Yeah, Bristol away. We don't have fond memories. And I think as well, after their result over the weekend, are they going to try and just shut up shop and play for a 0-0 draw? And it's just gives you nightmares of that kind of thing. When we played them last time, we had so many chances, and it just seemed like the ball didn't want to go in the net. And I just hope it's just not one of them again.
Right, let's get into some of the comments about this game on Sunday. Thankfully, no. Probably. I'm just going to no, probably. Agreed. And yeah. Shane, you have been dreading this game since the start of the year.
Since the dawn of time.
Yeah. How come?
Do you know what? It's probably because of last season. I mean, we were there in the middle of February on a Wednesday night, and it was awful. We had a good 60 seconds, which was the start of the game when we scored, and after that, I can't say what it turned into. so much so that we were back at the hotel after that game, drowning our sorrows in the bar, trying to forget about it. But Brighton this season have improved, and you immediately see that by their position in the table. I think they're sixth, so they're certainly more around mid-table. Whereas last season they were arguably in relegation fight. At the point the season got scrapped. So they've proven in the past they're not a pushover. We seem to do okay at home against them, but we have played them at home like 3 times now. So they're on one of those pitches that can be hit or miss. And just all round, they can give anyone trouble. They beat Chelsea this season at Kingsmeadow. So that makes me even more worried, because that that they can raise their game, and okay, they might not control it, but they can frustrate the hell out of you, and they can go and nick a goal, at any point. And that's what always worries me. On paper, some people might think Brighton are a team that we should comfortably beat, but I don't think that. And as I've said, and you said, banana skin, complete and utter banana skin. And this time next week we could be saying, well, is that top 3 completely gone, or actually are we still on track to maybe try and sneak in there?
Yeah, Sang says he's got nothing to say because they beat Chelsea. And Ian says the referee this week is Abigail Byrne. Deb says, focus on the first season, Shane. Great afternoon. That's the FA Cup game. And Debs wants to know to Ian, what's the history of this ref with us? So the point that I think is going to be a potential game winner is the pitch. We've gone from playing on an absolute, I think we can use the word carpet at Old Trafford, to going on playing on a bumpy pitch. Is the pitch going to play a part in this now, Fiona? And will it? And if so, can you see Casey making changes to the starting 11?
I watched the highlights earlier of the game against Everton, and I think Brighton were at home, and it looked horrendous. And I think it will impact our play. Beautiful through balls from Jackie are not going to happen on a bubbly pitch. How are you going to get the weight right and all that kind of thing just for it to hit a part where the grass is missing and that kind of? I think it will impact. We should have the quality, but it's not something we're used to. LSV is a good pitch in terms of WSL standard. We've just played at Old Trafford, like you said. So it's how do we play to our strengths on that kind of pitch? I don't know. Because if you try and cross balls in, we haven't really got that kind of quality at the moment. With both Tobin and Leah, they would be brilliant at crossing a ball in and then getting a head on the end of it. I don't know. I don't think Casey would change her style of play, though, to suit a pitch or to deal with a pitch. I don't think she's that kind of manager. I think she likes to stick with what she's used to, what the players are good at, what we do week in, week out, and we don't compromise as much. We might change a few small things, but we don't change our overall style of play, and it might end up suiting Brighton. But players will have played on that kind of pitch in the past, and they will know how to deal with it, I suppose, and that kind of thing. So you've got to hope it doesn't impact performance, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it will.
Debs asks, and I'm going to let Shane answer this one, will we get a third player sent off for the third consecutive game? I'm going to answer for Shane. Here's hoping.
Aileen Whelan would be icing on the cake.
Shane, can you see Casey making changes to the starting 11 in this game?
sometimes yes and no. I mean, you can't help but get drawn back to Haley. You know, is Haley going to start? This could be one of those fixtures where Haley's necessary. Especially, you know, Brighton might frustrate the hell out of us, but they're going to have a counter option to go on the counter attack or, you know, nick a goal from somewhere. So if we can have some sort of stability in front of the back line in Haley, I think we should take it. In terms of the attackers, I mean, as Fiona said earlier, I think LJ's done enough to start again. LJ likes that pitch. She scored 3 goals down there, so, well, she scored one and can go another one, I think. So, you know, let LJ, I think, starts. Kristen again. But you also have to look at the injuries we've had. A lot of them have been ankle and knee injuries, and, you know, does a pitch like that do us any favours or not with that kind of injury? So, you know, we are running a little bit threadbare up front, and we've got a team that's just won on the weekend. So maybe she will just stick with the same 11. Who knows?
Yeah. Ian just then comes in and says the referee's done our games at Villa and City. No real issues with her, but she has let things go that she shouldn't have. No. Really? That's shocking for a referee. John Fry says, think we might change 2 starting players. For me personally, I think if Hayley Ladd can start, I think this is the game you have to start Hayley Ladd in. And as for up front, well, I don't know. I haven't got a clue. Would it be a fair assumption to make if we don't win on Sunday against Brighton, our potentially top 3 is gone? Shane?
Yeah, in a way. It all bubbles down to the running. I mean, it's between us and Arsenal. And even before this weekend just gone, we've got very similar fixture list remaining. I think Arsenal's game in hand is against West Ham. Arsenal have got to play Villa. I think that's the last day. Arsenal have got to play Brighton as well. So you can only hope that maybe we can get over, but Brighton has been our banana skin and they become Arsenal's banana skin. But as Jake keeps telling me, Arsenal never lose to Brighton or never slip up against Brighton. So that does me wonders for optimism. But yeah, on paper, I think if we can't get 3 points this weekend, you would have to look at it as that's top 3 is done then, because it becomes even more out of our hands, and it already is out of our hands. You know, we are relying on Arsenal slipping up already.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask Fiona that question. Fiona, can you see Arsenal slipping up at all? I know this is a United thing, but with all honesty, can you see Arsenal slipping up?
That's the thing, because they play pretty much the same team as us. If we get a result, you'd expect Arsenal to get a result. They've announced today that Joe's stepping down, their manager, and, you know, maybe that could unsettle the players, but it could also say give them something to play towards. You want to get him Champions League as a sign off or whatever. All these different things that all play into it. Brighton can be poor for a number of games and then just pull it out the bag, and that could be against us, it could be against Arsenal. It's just, I don't know, it's very hit and miss. Our performances haven't been great, but we know we need to basically win every game. But Arsenal also need to win every game, and they've also got goal difference on the side. There's so much all these things interact with each other. If we don't win, I think that is 3rd place gone, unless there was a surprise. And I wouldn't put it past Arsenal to suddenly lose 2 games or lose a game and draw a game. But I think it's so unlikely. It could happen. I wouldn't say that they're not the likes of Chelsea, where Chelsea are going to win every single game. They might make a mistake every so often, but I don't know. I think it's so much in Arsenal's hands that we're going to have to rely on them slipping up. If they had a few different teams to us got to play, then maybe it could go in our favour a bit more. But it's just the teams are so similar. It's I don't know. I just think it's unlikely at the moment.
Yeah. So Sang says if we don't win, third place is gone, and then he mentions the Joe Montemora quitting at the end of the season. John Fry is, he can stay us getting third. If we don't win, it's still in our hands. Sang says it might affect their mentality, which is exactly what you said. But then he also says Arsenal tend to thump the small teams. John Fry says he can see Arsenal slipping up. Sang says the Everton game is tricky, but we both have it, and it is a tricky one. Karen says exactly the same, and it is an interesting game. Casey says we've now got 4 cup finals, and we have to get 12 points. So on Sunday, Brighton, win, lose, draw. Shane.
Win. Of course we'll win.
Okay.
Have to be positive.
Fiona?
Yeah, I'll go the win as well.
Good. So thanks for joining me, guys. Deborah's back next week with, I haven't got a clue, to be honest. So thanks for
John
joining
Moss.
God, I hope not. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me, guys. And thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Bye.